This is part 2 of the Bladecaller series. Dealer's choice. I chose Bladecaller. Just really called out to me on the archetype table. I hadn't had a chance to really dig into it. And something that I haven't done a lot so far in the series has been really trying to conceptualize what these archetypes will look like, because we don't have a lot of information. However, here we go. So the first Bladecaller I did, we did a male Rinkai, and we really played into that feudal Japanese inspiration by going with like the cultivation idea from like Japanese and Korean manhwa, where they cultivate the ability of a sword. They get sword or a sword key, and he manifests these energy blades that he fights with. Right, and then we went way into it, and we kept going that route for Bladecaller. So now I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain, and if that's not the route we're going with Bladecaller, what else could a Bladecaller be? And while I'm trying to figure it out, the first thing that popped in my head, again, anime or Japanese manga, is if you've ever heard or seen something called fairy tale. It has to do with magic, and there are all these wizards and magicians and what have you, but one of the main characters, her name is Urza, and the way she does it is her specific magic is like, as she learns special skills and everything, she learns to summon different sets of armor, different weapons, right? So what if we take that route with the Bladecaller? What if they literally, their magic is summoning or not manifesting, wrong word, summoning these swords. Like they're in a magic space, they pull them out, you know? And I think that was the next way. It'll be a little more difficult for me to go this route, but using Urza as inspiration is going to help me kind of keep going down this creation path and seeing what we can develop. You know, we set the main idea for a Bladecaller as an archetype is we're thinking that it could take a single target fighter into an AoE fighter. You know, whether they're manifesting the energy swords like I was talking about, or they're actually summoning like legitimate swords that are fighting alongside them, like a dancing sword or something like that from D&D. So they have them fighting like beside them, and maybe it mimics their attacks. So, you know, if I do a slash, now I've got two swords laid out next to me that are also slashing, and then I end up with an AoE attack. Well, I guess a slash is still kind of an AoE attack, but you get what I'm saying. It like makes my AoE bigger, or it takes a single target like a lunge. Now I'm lunging like, you know, 3 wide or 4 wide or however it works. Now we do know that as a secondary, they augment. They don't completely change. Now they will add one or like a couple skills, I think they said. But other than that, what they do is they augment your existing skills. So let's assume that if it does kind of make that switch from a single target to a AoE targeting fighter, maybe some of your basic skills, like I said, like a lunge or a slash, now is the AoE. You get the blades show up and they do multiples. What if the version we're thinking of, based on Urza, what if instead of summoning energy swords that mimic your sword, you have swords in your inventory, and you can set them as 1 and 2 or whatever, and when you fight, your summoning abilities summon those swords or those weapons from your inventory to fight with you. Now that's a cool way to think about it. That's something I hadn't thought about. Because now you're not necessarily manifesting energy. You are literally summoning from your bag swords, which would be neat. Like, consider like you're going into and you have a weapon that's your best weapon, but you're going against a fire enemy, or you're going into the volcano, and you have 2 ice type weapons in your, I don't even know if that's thing, I'm assuming, in your inventory. You're like, okay, set those as my summons, because they're generally weaker than my big strong sword, but they have the attribute I want. So then when I go to fight, you know, I'm fighting, but then I do a summoning ability, a sword, a blade call ability, whatever, and now these 2 ice swords from my inventory come out. That could be really neat. That could also be really fun if you like incorporate being a weapon blacksmith into your Bladecaller, because then you could craft like these special swords, specific swords, and then when you need to, you can summon those to attack. You know, maybe you have one that was really good against high armor, it can like shred armor. So you set that to this ability, and then like you're fighting, you're like, oh, he's got high armor? Cool, I'll use this summoning blade ability. It'll summon my armor breaker, breaks his armor, and now I go back into attacking, and now I pull out my fucking meat cleaver, and I start doing more damage because he has no armor. You know, that could really create a cool dynamic. And that kind of plays in with the Urza idea, so why don't we just play with that? Alright. So, our female needs a race. You know, what are we going to do? What haven't I done? I just did a Rinkai. Let's just do Kalar. I don't think I make them because I'm just vanilla human is really not always my favorite. to do, but we gotta show the respect to all the races. Intrepid is putting work in on all of them. So let's do a female Kalar. And she's going to be primary, fighter, secondary, summoner. Right? And that gives our archetype. Not that. And it gives us a Bladecaller. Hello. Hey, what's up, Hilldocs? What's going on? Alright. So if we're playing all around with the idea of this Bladecaller, I like the idea of Bladecaller summoning weapons from their backpack as like a different idea than what we did previously. I think it would be really neat to be able to set what blades or weapons, maybe Bladecaller doesn't specifically have to be swords, but setting different weapons in your backpack as your summonables. I don't know if that's a word. And then when you use your abilities, you're summoning these blades to attack with you. That's a really cool concept, and I think that's kind of what we're going to play with. And unfortunately, I can't think of a great name, but so we're going to have to go with the character that is our inspiration. Her name is Urza Scarlet. I'm not going to do that. I like going with Urza, and then last name. Last name's always a hard one. I don't want to just rip off the last name. So let's think Bladecaller, Blade, Edge. She's probably from a Kalar family. Something royal. Well, let's just do... What are they? Hold on. What is their cultural influence? French medieval. Okay. Let's do French. Oh, goodness. French. Medieval. Last names. How you doing, Hilldocs? What's up? You excited for the little snippet of combat at the end of the month? Should be kind of neat. I like that they pushed it back to the 30th to like give that extra like almost week for the team to get things kind of set up. Boom. Small sword or dagger. Let's do it. Baudelaire. Yeah, I think... Okay, so here's where I'm at. It's not going to be... It won't blow us away like the weather, I don't think. Because they're choosing to show us little bits at the beginning here. So they're obviously not all the way through it, right? They're not all the way through the combat reconstruction. However, they're comfortable enough to show us the snippet at the beginning, which is going to be basic model movement. What do they call it? The movement where the bottom and the top can go different ways. Skills, and then regular like auto attacks, and maybe a dual dagger skill or two. So I don't. What the hell was that? Oh, it's on the. Oh, it's that. Okay. So I'm trying to like have realistic expectations. You know, it's not. They're not going to show us the quality of the weather update and this short little weapons update. However, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic because so far what they have shown has been above what I thought. So maybe I'm just like, yeah, Steven said that if he approved it, which it seems like he did, there will be 100% a dual daggers update. So it makes me think that maybe we'll see a little bit of the thief or the rogue class thrown in there. So that'll be really neat. I'd like to see how they operate with dual wielding. You know, it can get a little funky in some games. Plus, it'll be our first combat like video in UE5. Like even if it's, you know, it would be neat to see the weapons in UE5 and everything. So I like Baudelaire for small sword dagger. I know that our person's not going to be small sword dagger. Well, let's see. So we need a name that kind of, but I like that it means dagger or small sword. No, I just like that name. We're going to go with that name. Yeah, so it'll be really cool to see that. But like I said, have you bought... No, Hilldocs, I haven't. You rub it in every time you come in. I see you. No, I haven't yet. Man, I need to so bad. I'll probably do it at the end of the. I'll probably do it at the end of the summer. I picked up a couple like freelance jobs and stuff, doing restaurant consulting that are coming up, and maybe sales consulting for a buddy with a construction company. So I might be able to throw a little extra money in the bank account and then go snag it up. I'm still hoping that Alpha 2 is like beginning of next year. Like January, February next year. So if I can get it by then, that would be great. That's dramatic. I'm trying to come up with a nickname for her. So we got this really cool idea of what a Bladecaller is what I've kind of been theorizing this morning. And I had one idea where the Bladecaller was like manifesting energy blades. And I got that from like the cultivation manga idea, you know, Eastern culture with sword ki and sword aura, and we kind of went with a Renkai because it fits that whole theme. And we went in there, and that's how we said a Bladecaller would work as a fighter and then a summoner. And then this one, we're saying that they're actually summoning the weapons from their inventory. Like, it's real, like, concrete weapons. They're just, like, porting to fight next to them or with them or what have you. So, while they still are summoning blades and weapons, they're slightly different, right? And so with this one, we're doing the summoning from their backpack or summoning from their inventory or space, hole, whatever. And we chose Urza because the whole idea came to me from Urza from Fairy Tail. So Baudelaire is like a French medieval name that means small dagger or blade, which is cool because, again, Kalars are you're like medieval European, specifically French medieval inspired. Baudelaire is French, so that's where we're at. And now I'm trying to come up with her nickname or her title because it's always something I like. It's like the cherry on top, adds a little extra oomph to it. So that's what we're doing while we're talking about the combat update for anybody who's new. Yeah, so I'm excited, yes, and everybody's excited. Here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about that everybody's setting their expectations to the level of the environment reveal. Not that you shouldn't, because so far Intrepid Studios has been blowing us out of the water. But they could have shot themselves in the foot by like over-delivering on everything and then choosing to show us a little snippet. Like, so we know, he said it's a little piece, Steven did. So we know it's not the full thing. It's not even a completed first pass, right? This is literally, they found maybe a 15 or 20 minute segment that they could put together with the combat engine. They went, you know what? Let's give them something. Let's throw them a bone. Let's show them what's going on with combat. I like the reasoning he gave to be able to kind of pivot. Hey, this is where we're taking it. What do you think? Everybody's like, hey, this looks really good, but you know, we don't like this. And then he can really dig into it and look at it and be like, okay, maybe we can adjust that. So I like the idea behind why they're showing the snippets. But I worry that with how much they've over-delivered, that we're all going to be sitting back in anticipation thinking that, like, they're going to go, okay, here's a little combat update, and it's like beta 2 ready. You know what I mean? I know it's not, but I feel like they've set themselves up like that. Now, if they deliver on that level, holy shit, right? But I don't think they will, not because they don't have the ability to, but because they're kind of doing us a favor by showing us this little snippet of combat that everybody's like foaming at the mouth for. And somebody told me that they confirmed at some point that they're doing, well, their aim is hybrid combat. And if they don't think it meets up to the expectations they want, they'll fall back on tab targeting. I was unaware of that. So if any of you in chat know better than me, let me know. Alright, so I like the living arsenal. I wanted to put something like the arsenal, the beauty arsenal, or something like that, but sometimes I feel like when we make female characters, we lay too hard into the fact that they're like, oh, they're a goddess, they're beautiful, they're this. Why can't they Even if they are pretty, why does it have to be about their appearance? Which I know some people will probably say. So I'm trying to think of... How about just the living weapon? Nah. I like the living arsenal. Or just go like fucking go in like and totally the raging arsenal. The human weapon. Boy, I'm blanking. I like arsenal because it makes you think that she's got all these weapons and she's summoning them. She's ready to go. Did Urza have a name in Fairy Tail? Would she have a nickname? It's probably like, no, all her names were like Ogre or something and Valkyrie and stuff like that. Valkyrie's not a bad one, but Valkyries don't exist in this world, so that seems like a silly thing to do. The dancing arsenal, still playing into that. Let's just the living arsenal. Or what about just the arsenal? Golly, I don't know. The living arsenal's not bad. Here's a Baudelaire, the living arsenal. I wonder if there is... Let's do French... arsenals? Maybe there's a famous one? I'm stretching. Help. Current stockpile. Okay, well, that's not quite what I was going... Oh, Arsenal is the name of a team. Alright, well, that was a swing and a miss, everybody. That was a swing and a miss. So yeah, I think we'll go with that. We'll go with the living arsenal. May come up with something better after that, but it's kind of a good place to be. So I think we go with that. I like it. All right, so we ended up with a female Kalar, primary fighter, secondary summoner, which gives you the archetype Bladecaller. So this time for Bladecaller, we said instead of like manifesting energy swords or like summoning these magical sword things and fighting with them, which is where we went with our first Bladecaller. This Bladecaller, we decided would be able to summon or, just summon blades, like physical weapons from their inventory, whether it's like a space deal, like a hidden space compartment, or they're actually summoning them. I mean, it's magic, where they do whatever the fuck they want out of their backpack, but it's like something you'd have to have in your inventory that you could set as summonable weapons so that when you use your abilities, these are the weapons that are summoned. You know, we thought that would add a lot of depth to the class. That would add a lot of depth to not only your equipment choice, but your inventory choice. Like, this is what I'm equipped to do, but now I need to make sure that I not only have 1 or 2 weapons for main and primary, but I would have to have additional weapons to fit the situation I'm going into in my inventory ready to be summoned. We thought it'd be a really cool thing. And, you know, I got that pool from Urza from Fairy Tail, so we just went ahead with her first name. And then Kalar pulling from medieval French influence with Baudelaire, which means small dagger. And then we said she was a living arsenal. I think that's a cool place to be with a Bladecaller, guys. You know, we have 2 Bladecallers that kind of theory craft completely different versions of the same archetype. I'll be interested to see how they do it. However, with the professions being such a big deal and like blacksmithing going to be a huge thing, I think having a blacksmith who is then a Bladecaller, so they could like craft specific weapons to then summon when they're in battle if they summon them from their inventory would be a really cool class mixed with profession, and just it'd be really neat. Yeah, I like it. Thanks for sticking around for this YouTube video, everybody. Look for the Express Lane version of this, and have a great day.